Hello, Henry. I'm back again. I'm gonna do a different kind of video today. More of a straight vlog thing. VLOG. Such a weird word. Video log. Video version of a blog. Everyone knows this. I came to the blog pretty late, so I know there's probably thousands on YouTube. So I don't have any illusions that my voice is going to, somehow penetrate through the din of voices that are already infesting the internet. I don't overwhelming the internet. The internet's probably like sagging beneath the weight of all these voices, all these people who have something to say, and telling each other what they think about what the other says, and quantifying it, and judging it, and valuing it, and or devaluing it, or debunking it, or verifying it, or validating it. Anything is possible in the world of social media now, as far as communication goes. Um, People meet on Facebook. They have bitter fights over politics, and sometimes they meet and they end up getting married. I've had both extremes happen to me because of Facebook. So I'm no stranger to this phenomenon. For people like me who are very inward generally, have a what my friend Tim McLean once called a rich interior life. I, it's the internet is perfect for someone like me. I can communicate with others, and it's like having pen pals, except electronically. Um, Except instantly, you don't have to wait, but a few seconds to get a reply, depending on the attention span of who you're talking to. That is. Um, and it's immediate. Um, it's like teleportation. You're bamfing in and out of all of these people's lives, one after the other, in whatever order you and they designate. And I think it's an exciting and productive thing. I think it's created a lot of uh, bridges within mankind. Um, Social media is very beneficial. I think corporate interests are attempting to quash things that are really truly valuable about it, which is genuine, honest communication and connection. I think it's becoming, as always, with any human innovation, completely reliant on, uh, well, you know, the long green, essentially. This is what it's all about, you know. And, if there's not money in it, then it's going to get uh, marginalized or possibly even censored. And there's quite a bit of both of those things happening on social media right now. And some people are trying to establish their own alternative social medias, like media. Media is already plural, like MeWe and such, um, alternate search engines, etc., to avoid Google. There's a lot of bias going on everywhere, and a lot of people don't even understand from whence it derives. That they're choosing sides without even knowing what they're what they're supporting, what who is representing them, what they're voting for, and that can be in politics or anything else. What they buy, voting with their wallets. We all do that in some way or another. Um, some of us do it almost despite ourselves because the it's impossible at the current moment to use this system uh, without it using you to some extent, and it does for to generate revenue, and that's kind of what all of this is about. That's why YouTube is monetized. YouTube's owned by Google, so even there's a corruption of the original intent, by moneyed forces. So that's everywhere. That's in everything. This isn't a slanted political tirade. This is just the way it is, and I think millions of people are starting to wake up to that finally, a mass scale. And I think a lot of that, huge amount of that, is because of the internet and social media. So You just have to be wary that the tools that they've given us to communicate, they can also use to attempt to control us. Um, don't let that happen, man. You know, be yourself, make real, genuine connections. That's just my advice. You don't have to heed it. Who am I again? One lone little electronic ping in a whole network of pings. There's nothing, you know, I am not unique, and yet I am unique. And the only way I define my uniqueness is that I create things and that my mind works on that level. So when my mind works on cerebral, obviously it works on a cerebral level. I have a cerebellum, but it works on an esoteric level. And the times in my life I've been the least rewarded and the most unhappy are when I have uh, denied my true nature in that sense, and dumbed myself down for easier consumption by others. And those were mistakes. They cost me time, they cost me energy, and they cost me years. And I should have been getting help and figuring out how to navigate this world without having to constantly um, compromise everything that made me unique, that made me me. I don't know if anyone watching this can relate to this or if this has any resonance whatsoever, but essentially, that's my favorite word of all time now. I've decided it's definitely my go to word when I'm catching my breath and my thoughts on these videos. Essentially, um, I, uh, I don't think people should be shamed for being individuals. And I don't think that in attempting to connect with other individuals, they should be exploited by other individuals or by the means by which they're communicating with each other, which that is exactly what I'm saying about social media, the good, the upside, the downside, the good and the bad. Um, but nothing here I'm saying is unusual or unique. It's just a matter of, have I said it before? Some of these things I've expressed on Facebook, uh, I've made some good friends and I have some strong support. But then I've also made a lot of enemies out of people I barely know, and I've gotten a lot of, yeah, I'd say a fair amount of harassment and anger and rage directed at me for daring to, you know, just think for myself, and the cliche outside the box. I don't even give a fuck about the box. I mean, it's not a box I've ever wanted to be in, and anytime someone's tried to force me into it, I've been in pain, and I've lashed out, and someone else has ended up in some kind of pain. And I generally mean psychic pain, not physical pain. Um, and I really am much more at peace now that I'm not going anywhere near that fucking box. It's not what I want. It's not who I am. I know who I am now. I stepped away from this world for a couple of years, um, and took a look at everything and healed myself as much as I could on my own, with some help from friends and professionals. Uh, I had no family left. It was just kind of one of those things. Social media helped. It was a good support system, really invaluable, to be honest. Um, the tide started to turn though when I saw that you know people were really enjoying this forum, but and enjoying connecting with other people and individual minded people and creative people, but for some reason they were throwing their lot in with powerful forces that are against all those things, that want to control us. I mean, it's hard to see a friend of 20 years, you know, talk about, you know, revolutionary ideas and iconoclastic art and, you know, rebelling against the system and, being who you are, being a weirdo, being, walking on the wild side, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That cliche after cliche, but so much truth. And these are all just paraphrases from one such individual that I knew. And see and hear all of that over time, and then suddenly you see them go, I'm gonna throw in with the other guys the guys I've been raging against my whole life. Um, but I'm not selling out because the other guys have the same labels that I've subscribed to in the past. You know, the same team, the same tribe, the same party. And that's where things started to kind of go foul for me uh, with social media. Yet on another level, free me up even more mentally. And so it began to feed into my work. When I was at that peak, I met an important person, the most important person I've ever met in my life. And they were apparently at that same point. And we began life together, and we began pooling our creative energies, our esoteric energies, our emotional, spiritual, financial resources um, to build something together. And then that person abruptly departed from my life. And recovery from that has been, uh, I haven't recovered from it, you know, and sometimes I think, you know, I've accepted it, but then sometimes I think the only thing I've accepted is that I'll never completely accept it. But I've accepted it in the sense of I'm not trying to uh, repair it or resurrect it anymore. Um, all of that lies in the hands of another individual, and I have no power over them, nor do I want any power over them. And I've given them total power over me. But, you know, that was simply what happens when you go into such a enmeshed partnership. I mean, I've been married before and divorced. I've been in bands, you know, I've had jobs, you know, I've signed contracts, you know, it's difficult severing the cord if you're a emotional or sensitive or empathic person, and I am all those things. And you know, the best I can do is heal myself and try to address my own issues, um, and just keep moving. And creating and being involved with creative ventures and art and such help me keep moving. Without them, I would have. I mean, they were what put me in the situation to meet that incredible person. And without them, I would not have been able to survive the loss of that person. Um, I'm still not 100% sure I've survived it. I think a part of me has surely perished, and the rest of me, though, is pouring that energy, rerouting into the arts and into things that matter to me, um, which really are just the arts. You know, I've been very deeply involved in online activism politically, but I've taken a step or two back from it, perhaps more than two steps back from it in the last, just in the last handful of months, and especially within just the last um, several weeks. It became more of a decision that I needed. I didn't even need to really make it. It's just I had evolved into another, just as I evolved into the state of awareness to embrace and learn about such things and be involved with such causes and such. I kind of evolved a personal evolution. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else or I became superior to anyone else, but I evolved within myself to a level where I no longer feel it. You know, I no longer feel that energy. I no longer feel that need or drive to um, be involved in causes that I cannot affect, be involved in a system that I cannot change, that apparently will never change. And therefore, I'm stepping away from it. I'm not going off the grid. You know, I still have a job, I still pay taxes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I own a home. I own a cat. I mean, you know, but the thing is, I'm I I feel for others, but I can't fight for others endlessly anymore. I have to keep fighting for myself. And, you know, if it ever came down to it, you know, a revolution happened. There are many brothers and sisters that I have met in the last few years who have been involved in similar struggles within and without in society and with the world and with structures that we live under, power structures. Um, and they've tried to change things, change the world. Uh, the very important person that I alluded to before, we were going to change the world together. That was her mantra, and uh, I don't know that we could have done that, but I think we could have affected change on a certain level together because our force of creativity and will and intellect and drive to survive and flourish was strong. But when you cut that kind of thing in half, both ends are inevitably going to suffer, and perhaps one end more than the other. And I feel my end, when that link was severed, began to almost shrivel and decay, But now I've been revivified. I've turned back inward, and now I'm going back outward. And I realized that I'm making these videos and I'm writing every day in my story, and I'm experiencing art on all different media, and I'm interacting with humans in a field related to communication in both of my jobs that bring in income. In doing those things, I'm, I guess, attempting to outrun um, the pain caused by that link being severed. Um, but more importantly, reassert myself. But not despite anyone else, but just to say, this is who and what I am, because uh, I'm different than the other half of that link was or is now. I never felt diminished by that connection. I never felt lost in that connection. I never felt that it was a mistake. I never felt any negative energy about it whatsoever. And it's really funny because as I'm saying all this, it's kind of darting through my mind. I realize I'm really kind of retreading the same things. I'm trying to talk about myself and just where I'm at and why I'm doing these things. And a lot of it does keep coming back to this traumatic event I experienced last year. And I kind of wonder, will this person I'm referring to ever, will they watch this? Will they see this? And what would their reaction be? But, I can't worry about that anymore. Though I do from time to time. Of course I will, but I can't alter that, uh, except in the time it takes to heal, to grieve, to mourn. Um, I can't just put a step forward and go, okay, now that's done. You know, uh, I am too sensitive and empathic a being to do that. I do gain attachment to things, but the thing is, I rarely gain the kind of attachment to things or even people that I did when I was younger because it cost me dearly. So what I entered into, the partnership I entered into last year, was a rare thing, something that I had not planned to do again, and I'd never planned to do at that level, but I had always dreamt of being able to achieve on that level. Okay, so I achieved it and it failed. So I'm back to I'm not going to attempt that anymore. But I won't this time. I've got to learn these lessons and I've got to keep moving forward. And some of the lessons are hard and bitter, and I wish they weren't, but then others, I turn around and I go, well, what about what I'm doing? Not who was I before I met this person? Let me go find that again. I never lost who I was before I met that person. I can pick up right where I left off. Everything that I planned with that person, um, I'm still pursuing. A home, a studio, um, jobs, um, selling my collectibles in order to move forward, um, continuing to use venues that I can for my art to get it out there. Everything that I was doing then, I'm still doing. I'm going to the next stages. So, of course, I never understood why then we needed to be apart to do that, but that's not my call. And, I realize I'm getting super personal here, and I apologize. It's just, it's one of those things because that person was my muse and my great muse. And that's been for the better because my work has improved because of knowing them, and um, she was the only person who was able to tell me from the outside what Flickr Street was about. And that's really important. I may have mentioned that on one of the Flickr Street videos. I'm not sure. I probably did in some way or another. But that was a big key to our relationship, was um, her helping me understand my own art. And now that I do, I am left to it and continuing, but reflecting that knowledge, that lesson that I've learned, and it is invaluable, and it's with me every day. So as long as I create, and as long as I write, and as long as I try to put that energy into the world or experience that energy, a piece of that connection with that person will always be there. Um, so even though, for all intents and purposes, not legally, not biologically that I know of, this person is dead to me now, not by my choice. Even though that is the case, uh, a part of that spirit will remain. Yeah, because it was real, it was powerful. Because if it wasn't real, my work would not have continued to evolve. It would have devolved. It would have had to uh, go into an even darker phase in order to somehow reach a catharsis. But instead, um, some of the stories I write have gotten darker, but the enthusiasm for the characters and the world building and that has become more positive and more powerful than ever. I feel totally connected and wired into that world, and I'm trying to communicate it to others because it's a massive undertaking. Because I am alone doing this, and if my health was better and I were a bit younger, then I would draw a comic. I would draw it every day, and I would draw out the entire story for everyone. I'm not able to do that. I don't have the hands or back power that I did when I was younger, and even then, I wasn't exactly a titan or anything. So, and I'm a bit older than when I began this. Obviously, 30 years. That's a long time to be involved in one world. When you're not an elderly person, and you're just hitting middle age, and you're like, well, wow, the whole of my adult life I have spent in this world. I've taken breaks from it, various siestas, and tried other things, and fed that back into it, though, ultimately, when I returned to it. But this video isn't really about Flickr Street, and it's not about my lost love. It's not about either of those things, really. But yet, it is about those things, because those are huge parts of who I am. And all I'm doing for this vlog, it's like a therapeutic thing today. I'm working out that extra energy, psychic energy, some of which is malign, and some of which is holding me back. And I'm doing that by just exposing it to whoever's watching this, you know, whoever's in front of their computer experiencing what I'm saying, and either resonating with it, or possibly becoming enraged, or laughing maniacally because this fool dares to talk about himself so openly on the internet. But I look at these vlogs on YouTube, and it's like, wow. I mean, these are people who come out of nowhere, and a lot of them live fairly mundane lives, and that's not a judgment call. That's simply an observation, that they are living rather mundane lives, and yet they use this as kind of like they're filming their own diary. So I thought I was hitting a block, and I never get creative blocks anymore. I mean, I'm not saying it won't ever happen again, but it's been a long time since I've had a genuine writer's block, artist block, whatever, what have you, because I employ oblique strategies like Brian Eno, and that's a whole nother discussion for another day. But people like Eno and Lynch, who think of different David Lynch, who think of different ways to constantly be creative. David Bowie, and he got some of his ideas for that from Eno, and Lynch got some of his ideas for that from Bowie. Um, But you know, these people are heroic individuals to me because they have forged their own paths and kept themselves from growing septic um, and terminal in their creative life. They have kept their muse alive. It may change form, it may change, you know, the method may change in the way in which they communicate it, but nonetheless, they have continued to mine that. Of course, Mr. Bowie is no longer with us, but he mined it to the very end. He documented his own dying on his final album, and what a journey! I mean, what a journey of sharing his life with us and then his death. Um, this, but this video isn't about those guys either, but it is too because they're also part of my mental repertoire of things that inform and um, describe, explain me, you know, who I am now and what I want. And, you know, that's kind of where I'm at with it. So I may do another one of these, I may not. I wanted to only do like 20 minutes, and I'm kind of racing toward the half hour mark, but I'd like to let this be one of my shorter videos and just say that I don't know if I made any points through this video or not. I'm not sure if I ever really make a solid point in my videos. It's really just the journey, and if you want to come along on it for whatever amount of time, you know, and communicate with me like we're having a conversation, then that's cool. I'm not going to try to lecture anyone. I'm not going to try to be a demagogue or a leader of any kind. Though I have the will and I have the ideas that I think could do a lot of good for a lot of people in the world. You know, in a practical sense, in a social sense, in a creative sense. Um, I'm not in the position to employ those ideas or assert that will. So I will not. One day, perhaps I will, but and for now, I'm in my own solatium, so to speak, a word I borrowed from John Coltrane and use in my work Flicker Street. Um, I'm here, and in my sphere, I am alone, but I am all. You know, I mean, it's gonna, you know, I might levitate here in a second. I'm already sitting in a lotus position. So, you know, I'm open to all these things, all these frequencies, as long as they're positive and they vibrate to where I do. You know, that's what matters. You know, you can label it however you want. You know, I'm not a new agey person. I'm not committed to any one particular creed and label that has a distinct capital letter name in front of it. Not that I can think of. I mean, artist, no, it's a little a, you know, and there's a lot of us, you know. Human, well, there's probably too many of us, but yeah, there's a lot of us. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna depart, and I wish everyone well, and I'll probably do some other videos like this. But in the meantime, I will continue my path, and the videos that you'll mainly be seeing will be some more explication on Flickr Street and creative ideas, and then also some more Blu-ray reviews and uh, who knows, you know, whatever will occur to me to make a regular series of, or just to talk about off the top of my head like I'm doing right now. So anyway, take care, and I wanted to thank um, all the people who have liked and subscribed to my page, thumbs up, you know, giving the coop thumbs up to my videos at all. The very few of you, I really appreciate it, and the people who have done their own videos on here who have really inspired me and influenced me lately. Um, there's about three that really um, kind of helped push me into the final catalyst. You know, they were the final catalyst to do this. I'd already been working toward doing this for a while. I mean, you know, like a year or so ago, I did the unboxing videos, but me in front of the camera, you know, that was always my goal, but, you know, I didn't know when or if how I would realize it, how I would manifest that. So there were a handful of people who I saw how they were approaching it, and I liked their confidence, and I liked what they were trying to bring to the table, and yet remaining very human, very relatable, very likable people. And I can only strive to have or embody any of those qualities for any other person than myself. I mean, I know my cat feels that way, but I'm feeding him, every day, so he's permanently biased towards me. So anyway, I love you guys. Take care. Bye bye.